Do, 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 do. Hello, hello. I think we are live. As you know, we always kind of check the vitals, make sure things are cooking and cruising. Double check. All right. I see it on the YouTubes. I see it on the Twitches. I see it on the LinkedIns and the Twitterverses. But hi, everybody. Goodness gracious. Thank you so much for coming to hang out. Look, I am super excited to have an awesome show with, I think, a fan favorite. And here, I'll pull chat up in case we get some folks coming to join the party here with us. Look, some of you might be familiar. Maybe you tuned into our previous live stream with Mishaal Khan, who is an OSINT or open source intelligence wizard. My goodness, showing off some incredible stuff. We had a previous. I gotta think back to it, and I'm sure he can fill me in. Got everyone waiting backstage, for production and all that fun. But I think we took like some car registration or the VIN to one individual end up being like whatever their address, crazy shenanigans and stuff. But hey, everybody. All right, excellent. Now I see chat coming through. Thank you all for coming to hang out. Look, it's no secret. This is a live stream for just hacking training. And that, if you aren't familiar, JHT, as I kind of affectionately refer to it as, is a little new venture. It's the spinning plate that I've added to the collection of spinning plates in my life for something fun to chase and showcase more education, more training, more cybersecurity material, more learning. And what really we're striving towards is tactical, hands-on, practical application-based stuff and learning that's not just me. That's not just, John sits and does the YouTube video day in and day out. But no, there's so much more talent, so much more incredible expertise in our industry. And I wanted to help shine the spotlight and spread the love and get that out and about. So you've seen us do this here and now and then again, but for these sort of live streams, I do like to go through with a little bit of a spiel, a couple of announcements, a couple of the stuff that we're hyped up about and stoked to share with you all. And then we get to the real show. Hey, let our guest all-star join the party and do some fireworks, light off some super cool demonstrations and all that cooking show magic tricks. Look, I got to cruise through the spiel, the announcements. And here's the thing. Can I tell you a secret? We try to get me and my head straight on for this thing, maybe a little bit before we go live. We're moving at breakneck speed, running fast, moving fast and breaking things. And my business partner, Don, kind of gives me the sit rep and he tells me like, hey, these are all the things that we got to announce. And it's awesome and incredible. And there's so much sweet stuff that we want to shine the spotlight on that I'm just so excited to bring to you. But I'm like, this is like half a page in text to scroll through. I'm not going to be able to remember all this. So I don't know if this is like a growth milestone or not. I think it's pretty sweet, but we got to do it. I have to get to slides. I'm sorry. I know we will without a doubt, 1,000% do the live demo screen share shenanigans, but let me do the announcements. And I'll pull it up here. I'm pretty stoked. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. Hey, live stream today, March 7th, 2025. Let me get the housekeeping out of the way. Yes, obviously, we will be making sure this is still available to you. If you'd like to tune back in at any later point, it is on demand, either on my YouTube channel, whether you find it on Twitter or X, and LinkedIn. And I don't know, does Twitch keep VODs for like a little bit of time before they just evaporate into the void? But if you'd like, hey, tune into justhacking.com/events. Our events page kind of at least keeps you up to date with all the places that we're at, including real world places where we're at, like the conferences that we'll be at, whether it's B-Sides Tampa, whether it's Hack SpaceCon, whether it's B-Sides Cayman Islands, whether it's Wild West Hacking Fest, Deadwood, Denver, DEF CON, Black Hat RSA, all that sweet stuff. Would love to say hi, hang out with you all, and please, please, please don't hesitate. Don't be a stranger. Now, this is what I'm hyped up about. Please, please, please indulge me. Please celebrate with me. Please share in the super cool stuff that I'm just excited to get out the door. This has been a big week because we're launching a ton of new stuff, new courses. And if you are familiar, every first week of the month, we try to get out a couple new, or one, at the very least, one minimum course. The third week of the month, we get out some other hack-alongs, some other upskill challenges, which are usually the free or name your price training. Like if you would pay what you want, it's pay what you can. It's all that sweet stuff to hopefully make this accessible and affordable for everyone. But with that, the courses, I realized, hey, it's with our friends. It's with other incredible industry all-stars. And we got a banger this week. If I may say, we're getting a little bit more love for mastering Active Directory security. And we've got to hang out with Slavi before. Slavi Parpulov, he's been an incredible trainer, instructor with, I believe, eLearn Security and Hack the Box and all the sweet stuff that he's done. And another absolute wizard, elite with a lot of that AD and Active Directory environments. You might know we've been putting together a saga of training there with MADS, Mastering Active Directory Security, between Volume 1, between Volume 2, and now we're cruising onward to Volume 3 with Kerberos delegation and relaying. Quick snippet showcase of the material, the syllabus, kind of a course outline on the left-hand side. You can see some really cool stuff, whether it's cutting up what would be Bloodhound, digging into other potential attack paths, making sure that you could actually see other replay or coercion attacks, and then other delegation work that you do with Kerberos, which still confuses me. I got to take this course. Kerberos is a beast to be tamed, without a doubt. With that, you could actually grab your hands on all of the Mastering Active Directory security stuff in a sweet bundle. If you're just a little bit late to the party, realizing and seeing, wow, MADS 3 looks pretty cool, I want to gobble up 1 and 2, that's there available for you with a 20% off discount all there. And a little bit of a little secret sauce. Whenever we release a new course, it will be 20% off for the entire month that is released. That's kind of the gimmick. That's what we've been wanting to roll with thus far. And you'll see that throughout, not just this one course release, not just the second course release, but all 3 of them. Second one we're pretty hyped up about. It's more WMD, Windows Malware Development with David Schloss. And we did a live stream together just a bit ago while I was over at Wild West Hacking Fest. This was February timeline. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to level with y'all. That was not my favorite. That was a little bit of a bummer because I'm out on travel. I'm using like a potato to record. You're sitting in a microwave for audio and microphone. So it just didn't have the quality. And we had a couple technical snafus and shenanigans to get the demo up and running. So that felt like a bummer. And I want to fall on my sword for that. David and I will get together again, and we'll probably do a recorded video that can go up on the channel and be able to get some more education there. Because I realized we were like scrolling through Python, which just isn't what either of us wanted. But I think with a little bit of a rush while I was out on travel, we actually had a guest kind of dip out, and we ended up rotating with David. So look, let me be straight up. I think that's totally transparent, forthright, and forthcoming the best I can be. We'll get together again, but I am stoked about WMD2. Quick screenshot, little snippet of the syllabus and course outline again, as you would like. And it's something that we're getting a little bit more into other Win32 API function calls. It's stuff where you could actually implement some more of that encryption, some more obfuscation, some of those tricks to evade antivirus. When you're getting into that offensive security, red teaming, malware development, maybe penetration testing here and there. David is awesome. He's got his little venture like emulating cyber criminals to play pretend, act as the adversary to keep bolstering security up for the better and for the right reasons. Look, WMD is planned for a saga of 3 courses that will make out that path. Right now we're out with WMD2, but WMD3 will be on its way. And I'm not sure if we got more in the cooker, but David has brought this to DEF CON, like the InfoSec Information Security Conference, and done that as a training for many, many years. And normally in person, that's about, I think $1,000, if not north of that. I don't know if it's $1,500. So I'm just ecstatic and grateful we can drive that down, make sure that price tag isn't so gosh darn high, and make it accessible with lab environments, with the virtual machine, with all of the hand-holding guides, material, text, quizzes, videos, make it still good and worthwhile. With that, we do have a bundle available for the WMD 1 and 2, but 3 is on its way. I think the plan for that is it H2? Is it the second half of the year? Something soon. But let me say, I want us to get our roadmap out and about, because we've got a lot of stuff in the cooker that I'm, again, super excited about. You might have heard me screaming and shouting about, like, oh, we got Rob Fuller. We've got Mubix putting together some upskill challenges. We've got KevTech from some of the help desk work. We've got others, incredible all-stars putting out good stuff. So I want to make sure that can be public and easily shared with you all, and not just up in our own tribal knowledge. Let you know what's coming down the pipe. With that, the one that I am the most excited about, because we get to jam, party, and celebrate with them today, Level Up OSINT. That's the next set in the saga, path, and series of some of the open source intelligence that Mishaal Khan is bringing us. Some of you might have been able to tune in for the beginner level OSINT launch. And with that, yeah, he was really doing magic tricks. I can't say it any better than that. It's phenomenal, incredible to see all the work that you could do to aid in what really is important investigations. Like, whether it's to aid, whether it's for law enforcement work, whether it's just for any investigator work, just being able to know what information is out there is especially pertinent. So Mishaal and I will dive into it more today in just a few moments, but I think this is awesome. I legitimately could not fit the syllabus, like the course outline and the curriculum, into, the side screenshot where it's over on the left-hand side. I kind of chunk it up, but super cool stuff here. Actually going out, doing a little bit more with, like, breach data that's available, looking at voter records, looking at courthouse records, looking at housing, loans, anything that's just out and about that you could still glean and glisten some information from. Now, here's the coolest thing. The Mishaal bundle is the best way we could package that up and make that fun, good, and easy for you. By the way, if I'm not doing a good job screaming and shouting about this thing, justhacking.com is kind of where you could dive in. That's the top of funnel for us here. But the Mishaal bundle is everything that Mishaal has put together with us so far. And that includes the beginner level OSINT. That includes now the Level Up OSINT. Along the way, he's put together the sweet hack along. So there is a video accompanying a very sweet exercise where you get to do geographical OSINT. Like, given a picture anywhere on Earth, somewhere in the world, can you track down where it is? Can you find and cover all the clues, all the breadcrumbs to know what something else is geographically? Open source intelligence. So it feels very GeoGuessr. It feels very Rainbolt, but that's the cool, sweet stuff, you know? Alongside that, especially important, OPSEC, operational security for security professionals, making sure we aren't maybe holding our hand on the stove for too long for the work that we do, making sure that we are safe and don't have any of their own risks while we're doing the work that we do. That includes, I think, it's not to say the 20% off thing, but what would be the price of Level Up OSINT on its own will get you everything else. So I hope that's cool. I hope that's exciting. Gentle reminder, this is not new by any means, but if you had any interest in the dark web and cybercrime course that we put out together, that is still available at the 20% off discount. Look, we are in the works to scheme up what will be Dark Web 2, because what this course was for the starting foundational thing, I feel in my mind, it was a background context, like a backdrop to set the stage for the culture, the ecosystem, how that whole world works. But, you know, I want the stuff on the keyboard. I want to see the Tor onion links and look at and like get the real thing between different forums or threat actor spots. But it's a very, very interesting balancing act, because I do not at all want to be enabling that bad and illicit activity. So we're going to figure it out. We're kind of figuring out how we walk that line in the best way, because it's still absolutely necessary information for cyber threat intelligence, tracking threat actors, digging into this whole world. But that's on its way. Again, this is why I'm saying I got to get our roadmap in a pretty picture out and about for you. So if you're interested, Dark Web 1 is 20% off. Dark Web 2 soon. Now for the live stream deal. Sorry, I don't know why I'm talking with my hands so much all of a sudden. I feel like I've just turned into, oh goodness, the announcer commercial infomercial. But I really hope that you are having fun with some of this stuff. I am excited about it because I do believe it is good, genuine education. So please forgive me for, I don't know, putting the dog and pony show hat on here and there when I have to. With all that said, I want to give you a giveaway. We're trying to keep an eye out for all of you tuning into the live stream, and we'll pick one of you tuning into the live stream, and we'll just give away, and you can have that Mishaal bundle of all of the things he's put together. With that said, I've been yapping for like 15 minutes, way too long. So I think we should move on with the show. But please, please, please be on the lookout if you are the one that we have randomly selected and chosen for the giveaway of the Mishaal bundle. That's not just the $150 price of Level Up OSINT, but the added stuff of the hack along, his previous course, OPSEC, etc. But next, you know we do this twice a month, not every other, bi-weekly. I don't know how you say it within a month, but the first week of the month, we get our courses out the door, do a sweet live stream with another all-star. The third week of the month, we get more hack-alongs and upskill challenges, and then get another live stream with some of the other awesome all-stars. So next, we've got Insider PhD, which I'm super excited about. Katie is an angel. She is lovely. She is phenomenal. And I do want to help sing the praises. She'll be lighting off some fireworks and doing more sweet, cool cooking show demos soon, in the middle of the month. But with that, I'm done. I can stop screaming and shouting about all the sweet stuff, and we can get Mishaal into action, if that's a-okay. So let me stop screen sharing, and now we'll get our friends. Mishaal, are you ready? Are you a-okay? Can you give me a thumbs up, sweet in the background? Heck yeah. Excellent. Mishaal.
Hey, John. How's it going?
I'm good, man. How are you? Thank you for, I don't know, letting me rattle that all off. I was serious telling Dawn, like, oh, we got a lot of sweet stuff to talk about.
I thought it would never end.
Yeah, sorry. How are you doing? What's life been? What have you been up to?
I'm doing good. Been quite busy, but busy is good.
Excellent. Well, again, I tried to sing your praises because you have joined us before on a live stream, and I think you wowed just about everybody. You are without a doubt a fan favorite, and I know a lot of folks love some of the open source intelligence stuff. But would you mind just coloring the picture one more time? Who are you? What are you up to? How do you spend your time? And what sweet stuff can you show us today?
Sure. I'm Mishaal Khan, and I do a lot of things around the hacking scene. I've been a pen tester for quite a few decades. I've been in the networking side, so my core competency skill is networking. I'm a CCIE and routing and switching. Got lots of certs along the way, but today I kind of focus more on the OSINT side, and my flavor of OSINT is more of the hacker version of OSINT. Not the journalistic type of OSINT, not the business intelligence OSINT, not the, there's so many other GeoInt is another feature, but what I usually do is people hunting style OSINT, so digging deeper into missing persons or entire lives of individuals, trying to find someone, either a bad guy, a perpetrator, or something. I got into it because I was helping out the community a lot, and I kind of developed the skill over time. I'm using some of my hacking and technical skills, and here I am today, creating courses, teaching others, talking about cybersecurity in general, how to protect not only individuals, but organizations as well from threats that are everywhere.
Well, hey, man, thank you for doing it. Seriously, genuinely, I know you've heard me say it all the time. I'm probably a broken record, but you are a beacon of light in the community that we've got. So thank you over and over and over again. And with that, I am stoked for whatever you might have up your sleeve. I know we've put together, hey, you've been an angel, man. Hey, beginner level OSINT, then the Geo OSINT hack along. Now you've got your OPSEC course out of the way. But now I'm excited about Level Up OSINT. Where does that one sit in your mind, and how does this kind of differ from the others? Is this intermediate, advanced, where?
Yeah, so it's intermediate, and it was important to come up with the beginner level OSINT first before jumping straight into advanced techniques, because people need to understand there's a lot of baseline work that needs to be done within OSINT. And then at the same time, there's a lot of OPSEC that people need to be aware of, because if you start jumping straight into criminals or wanted people or the dark web and your OPSEC is not at par, you're going to get in trouble. You're going to screw up your own investigation. You're going to probably land yourself in prison or something and just be stuck in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I believe OPSEC was very, very crucial to even get to this, level up or the next level of OSINT. And to set the stage, the beginner level OSINT is pretty broad. Anyone who's already taken the course, there's like 40 videos in it or something. I touch on a lot of different topics within OSINT, but that's how OSINT is. It's pretty broad. And the goal now is to go a little bit deeper. So the level up OSINT is taking those skill sets, looking at username enumeration, looking at how I can find from a person's name to their email address to maybe a phone number, so seed information, and then building kind of your map from there, your mind maps, your documentation up. So level up OSINT is more polishing your skills. How do you present an investigative report to a professional? Maybe it's a business, maybe it's law enforcement, maybe someone has hired you for OSINT work. How do you get from rookie level to a professional level? So this is leveling up your skill set. Obviously not for everyone, but for anyone who's in the professional field. If you're a pen tester, if you're an investigator, journalist, doing due diligence, any one of those fields, you need to level up your skills and be a bit more polished in your approach. And at the same time, part of all of my courses, what I do is I try to not teach people. I believe everyone's smart. They can Google stuff, they can YouTube stuff. I try to empower them with better skill sets and open up their minds. So, a lot of the things that I'll show in the demo today and in the course that are in there are simply there as an example to kind of think outside the box. And what does thinking outside the box mean in OSINT? Uh, Through my demos, I'll show you a little bit of that.
I know maybe one conversation we had last time we got together, because in my mind, I think it's easy. Maybe this is a crutch. Maybe this is a knee-jerk reaction for me, but I often think like, hey, I just want to know the resources. I want to know the tools. Can you link all those different things? It'll do the sweet stuff, but it's not just the bundle of tools in the toolkit. It's really knowing how to use the tools if you do use them, but more importantly, when to use the tools. I think the intuition is really what you're teaching. If you aren't teaching, the ones and twosies, spoon feed, monkey see, monkey do thing, you are learning how to think and how to know what to tackle and what to navigate with the intuition. So,
right. I would go even beyond that and say, what are the possibilities out there? Because tools, you can Google those things. Techniques, you can learn pretty easily, trial and error. But if you didn't know something existed, like I didn't know that I could get to a license plate number from a name or a VIN number and vice versa. I'm like, I didn't know that was possible. I thought I had to go to law enforcement to get plate information or registration information or ownership of an LLC and stuff. There's portals for that. I can look up voting records for anyone. I mean, that's a lot of stuff that people simply didn't know existed. Depending on who you are, where you are, what your job is, you'll know compartmentalized pieces of information. So part of my job is to kind of show you and excite you and say, wow, there's a place where you can look for. So when you're stuck in an actual investigation, you're going to remember those key things and say, hey, I have X piece of information. I can get to Y if I have Z maybe. So I think of these things like a mathematical formula and say, uh, as long as I know it exists somewhere behind a portal, behind a website, or in a data breach or something, I'll know how to get to it eventually. But if I don't know this existed, in OSINT, people give up very quickly. They're like, that's impossible. That can't be done. So part of my goal here is to show you different approaches to information gathering.
well, all right, my friend. I am so glad you, clued in the keyword there. Let's show you. So if you're up for it, I don't know. Do you got any tricks up your sleeve? Anything we can
Yeah.
show and tell? Any demos?
Let me share my screen here. Here we go.
All righty, good
You
for me
see
to
my
bring it up.
browser?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. All right.
Right. So I start off this course with note taking, and I kind of show people how I do note taking and how I organize my brain, sort of. So Obsidian is a great note taking app, but I don't use it for note taking. It's a bit too complicated for me. I use simple notes, either Notepad or Sublime Text. But I use Obsidian to create beautiful mind maps, and I'll give you an example. This is what I create. This is the result of my OSINT investigations. This is a templated mind map, but this is in Obsidian. And a lot of people don't know that you could create mind maps in Obsidian like this. And I can drag and drop things around. I can create connections between different people as I progress along my investigation and this gets bigger and bigger, I start putting in more connections and starting to say, all right, where did I get this piece of information? I can double click on anything and start, modifying stuff. And this is pretty cool because as you're doing investigations, this gets bigger and bigger. And then you start questioning yourself on where do I stop doing this or where do I start even? And this is a great way not to get into rabbit holes. I think that's the number one question I get is, hey, Michelle, how do you not get into all these rabbit holes in OSINT? I'm like, this is one of the many ways. You start with the center here and you branch off into, let's say, images. And then I go into social media. But before I go into, let's say, their domains or their relatives or maybe the breaches, I got to stick to social media. Let me at least go through 5 6 different major areas, and this is where my resources and links come in play. I'm like, have I looked at the person's Twitter? All right, let's look at my bookmarks. How many links do I have for Twitter? How many tricks up my sleeve do I have just for X or Twitter? Then I'll move on to Facebook and then the rest. And before I know it, I'll be checking the box on each one of these items one by one and then slowly progressing to the next level. This is how you also do something called due diligence. Like when someone hires you to do an investigation on a target, a company, or a person, you need to do your due diligence and you need to come back and say, yeah, I checked everything. Because how embarrassing would it be if a second investigator gets the job and they figure out, oh, you didn't even check government records, or what about their cases or their traffic violations? Did you even look at their voting records? Oops, I forgot all of that. So this is more for me to know how to start, where to end, when to kind of say, all right, I've done enough, and build this map and show it to the client. So that's kind of where I start off the course in polishing your skills, being more professional.
I, for one, did not know that Obsidian could make that gorgeous mind map. I know it can make the like node. Oh, you got a bunch of different circles and dots for your
Right.
notes, but being able to add those properties and color code and make that clean, that's awesome. Super
Yeah,
cool.
that's the canvas feature. It turns it into a .canvas file and you can share it. It's free. Unlike all the other previous mind mapping software I used to use was paid. So this is a great free version. It's simple and it does exactly what I wanted to do. Nothing more, nothing less.
Excellent.
Keep it simple. But yeah, I progress along the course with where I leave off with things like username enumeration, a lot of browser plugins I show. But one of the major goals is speed. In this intermediate level course, I want to teach people how I'm more efficient and how I'm faster in my OSINT investigations. So one of the things I kind of highlight here and people often see me use is a lot of these Firefox add-ons, these extensions, which kind of do 10 things at one or 20 things in one click. Like this is probably my favorite extension. It's called Search by Image. It's by Firefox, by Mozilla itself. And it's pretty simple. You just right click and it shows you a drop down menu. It says Search by Image. And before I do something like this, it's going to open up a lot of browser tabs. So I just pop this out into maybe a new window. And now I have a separate window with just an image in it. Right click and I do search by image, all search engines, and it's going to start searching for search. Let's do something else. Let's go on Google and search for an image because sometimes pop-ups don't work. let's say I want to search for this table. Right click, where is this? Search by image, all search engines. And there we go. You see a lot of tabs open up in the background. And they're pretty quick. Like all of this to do manually would have taken me a good 6, 7 minutes. It searched on Google Images, found me similarities here. It searched on Bing Images, then it went to Yandex, and then Baidu, and this is where you start doing a lot of due diligence and saying, have I searched all the major search engines for images alone? And plugins like this, one right click and boom, you're in TinEye, you're looking at stock images at Shutterstock, you're looking at Pinterest, didn't find anything. You're looking at PimEyes, which only searches for faces. That's why it didn't turn out any results. And as I do this, I have lots of tabs open. This is one, let's say, branch where I've kind of gone into, and this is one potential rabbit hole that I'm about to go deep into. As I go through this, I always say it's easier to close windows than it is to open windows. So I can just start closing them, X them out, bad results, whatever. I don't like this. Or this entire window now is one area of investigation I'm done with. I've maybe saved these links somewhere in my report. I can just go here and close the entire window. And I'm back to my previous window with lots of tabs open. So I didn't screw up these tabs. I didn't make 20 tabs into 40 tabs and really become more complicated. I start, taking control of my investigation so that they don't go out of hand. So that's one of the other techniques I kind of emphasize in this Level Up OSINT course.
That extension was called Search by Image. Is that right?
Search by image, correct.
Or search as image. I guess something of those.
Search
I was
by
going to
image.
ask if, excellent. I was going to ask if PimEyes is in there because I know that certainly got some love for OSINT for people and for faces. But I think, look, I know just as you mentioned, uploading that manually each and every time is kind of annoying, especially when you got to move it back and forth from your file system. And it's probably a small thing to whine about, but as you mentioned, doing that across all search engines, the time adds up, especially PimEyes. You could right click, slap it in there. That's awesome. Good speed run.
Yeah. And you have a lot more options. And this is why I like Firefox, because if you go into the search by image extension itself and you go into preferences, you see everything that's checkboxed on the left, the things that it will search for. And I've only checked a few of them. There's a lot more it can go through. Like there's a lot of things in here I don't even know. Like Alamy.
Are you able to zoom in at all? I don't know if Control Plus helps or.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Yeah. Sweet.
So yeah, all the list on the left is I can checkbox it. And now if I right click and do search by image on an image, let's say, it's going to show up this Madrid monitor or Alamy images or whatever. So PimEyes is here. So there's a lot. I can search for IKEA images as well, Sheen. But yeah, I keep it kind of simple. I checkbox only the ones I've had good results with. But yeah, these tools are pretty powerful.
That's a good tip. Excellent.
And on the note of automation, I start off with basic tools like what's my name.app. This was in the beginner level OSINT course where if I put in any test 1, 2, 3 and click on search, it starts searching for that username everywhere. It'll go through CAPTCHA first so that you don't abuse it, and then it'll start searching for that. But what if a website like this is down? And it was down. What's my name.app was down for, I don't know, a couple of days or a couple of weeks last year. Does it break your workflow? Do you stop searching? Do you find alternatives? You should always have more than one way to do the same thing. Redundancy is key in OSINT investigations. But not only redundancy in terms of different tools, but maybe the same tool, different way. So this is a web-based tool. There's also, let me just close this because it's taking up my network bandwidth. There's also command line based tools like this one is called Magrit. It's a fork of something called Sherlock, which is a popular tool. So let me click on Sherlock, and there's a GitHub repo on it. You can install it, and this is what it looks like, a screenshot of Sherlock. So if the web-based tools fail, you need a way to manually run those tools because your OSINT research isn't going to stop because a website didn't maintain a certificate or whatever. So this is what we kind of touch the surface on a little bit, where we go into Kali Linux. Wow, this is tiny. All right, it's fine now. So this is my Kali Linux image on VMware, and people who are taking the course, they have a web-based virtual machine that's included as part of the course, so they don't have to install Kali Linux or VMware or any of the tools. They're all pre-built, pre-packaged in the course. That's a good thing of the platform. But I show you in my videos on how to install tools like this. And once you install this particular command line tool, which is called Magrit, it does username enumeration. So as an example, let me put your name in here as a username. So John Hammond
Uh-oh.
username. And
Uh-oh.
let's see what comes up.
You're gonna get some
Wow.
embarrassing stuff in there that isn't me.
Sure, it isn't you. So we're getting a lot of results there. And at the bottom right here, you can see it's going through 500 different possible entries here, and it's only giving me the positive results. Anything that's a hit of a website, it's giving me that result. So let me just press Control C here, and let's stop this. And I can go up now, scroll through, and see different possible things about you. So
They're gonna find my anime list. Oh no.
and I can start opening these links one by one and say, is this Bitbucket repository yours? I don't know. Nothing much in it. Let me go back here. Scroll up GitLabs, right click, open new link. Yep, that's definitely you because
That
your
one is me.
face shows up here. So one by one, I can start discovering new things. Like these are the popular ones, but I don't know what Gab is or 9gag, Pastebin. So there's a lot of places where it could possibly be you. And now it's my job to kind of go through all of this, like MySpace. I don't know if this is you, but no, probably not, because it shows me now a location, Auburn, Massachusetts. Whoever's MySpace account this was, they were in Massachusetts. So this way I can start, Xing stuff out and saying, all right, false positive, and starting to move on with stuff that I need to narrow down. Now, this is important because once we kind of give up on our 20, 30 social media accounts, this gives me 500 more possibilities. So it's spreading it wide so that I have more possibilities of success in finding that one account that, that Roblox account or something that you forgot to disable, or that anime account or whatever. And it gives me more options, and more options is always good. And what I'm looking for here are things like, all right, following list or followers and images, and maybe something in the description that gives me that one more clue that'll maybe make or break my my case. So a lot of these Linux-based tools supplement the web-based tools, and this way I'm no longer dependent on a website. I'm quite independent in my research.
I'm glad it has tracked down a couple silly adult entertainment sites that aren't me.
I will not click on.
Yeah, thanks. We can take our hand off the stove for that one.
But that's Kali Linux. Whenever I'm doing actual OSINT, I'll have my browser open and I'll have Kali Linux open, because there'll be a few tools in Kali that I will have to go through just for my due diligence, even if I know that I may not get results, but I need to try. And that's the whole point in, doing your due diligence in OSINT. And that's what kind of differentiates the rookies from the pro.
Excellent.
A lot of the other things I go through are things that people may or may not be aware of. Things like Google ad IDs, and what does that have to do with OSINT? There's a few websites that'll search for ad IDs. This is one of them. It's called webtechsurvey.com, and it searches for these type of tags. So anyone who's done programming and done web development and inserted ads in their websites is probably familiar with these types of codes, UA or GTM, Google Tag Manager. You put these in your website so that Google can know where to put ads, and that's kind of your user ID. But websites have a lot of different tags. So, as an example, let's look at transunion.com. And you can do this with any website. Right click, look at the code. Let's do not inspect code, but view page source. And here I can just press Control F and look for GTM. And I see over here that's the keyword I was looking for. That's the Google Tag Manager. And copy this, put it back in that website that I had for searching these things. Search, and it didn't find anything for this one in particular. So not all of them are indexed. So think of this as a indexing website. But I can actually manually search this in the website itself and see maybe there's a different tag ID that was indexed. Let's go down, and there was a different tag ID. This may be old, new, I don't know. But I click on it, and here's what I see. I see all the websites that have that particular Google tag ID associated with it, either in the past or today. And I see TransUnion is one of them, and then other subdomains of TransUnion, different versions of it. But I also see driverhistory.com. And let's click on that. So driverhistory.com, it says it's a TransUnion site, but it's a different website. And the tag ID has connected these two websites together. And if you try this on different websites, search them manually, or you have the tag ID and search the tag itself, you find connections. And remember, in my uh, Obsidian mind map here, connections is what I'm looking for. That does this website connect to another website? All right, who's the owner of that other website? It means this John Doe is connected to John Smith because they share the same website. So there's a lot of assumptions you can make with tag IDs. One assumption I'm making here is driver history and TransUnion is either owned by the same company, which is the correct assumption here, or it could be the programmer used the same tag ID for different websites. They hired the same company or the same programmer, and they're using the same ad tracking capabilities, which is not a best practice, but you'll see that in quite a few websites. So these are some of the more advanced techniques on digging into the website's own architecture and trying to figure out what it's made up of and trying to find those links between A and B so that you can kind of establish that and say, aha, there must be something connected between these two.
It's funny, Google Analytics and like the Google Track, Google Ads, not even something that I would even think of. Like I would completely forget. Oh, that's an opportunity. That's an idea.
And
Nice.
these ideas come from being a web developer as well. So that background helps in OSINT. I take that one level further in the next level OSINT class where I dig into GitHub. So if you have a GitHub for either repository or websites, um, GitHub has a lot of traces in there too, like a username or IDs like this as well are embedded in GitHub code. So that's another place you can take investigations into. But besides website infrastructure and stuff, there's domain stuff I talk about. And for example, I think I mentioned this in last time as well. Hooksy.com is a great website for looking at his historical data.
I do
So
remember Hooksy. Yeah.
yeah, so if I put in justhacking.com and search, it shows me that it's been 8 years that it's been registered. But I know you haven't had this for 8 years. You recently bought this. But in most Whois lookups, it'll only show you this top information. But Hooksy and a few other websites will show you, like here it says all redacted stuff, but if you go down, it shows you a sneak peek into the history. Who owned justhacking.com in the past? So the first owner that it has, 2015, was someone by the name of Vikram Kaur, and their email address, a Gmail address was there. And then the following year, 2016, someone else, Lalit Kumar Chaudhary, and at a Gmail address, a personal address in India, they owned this website. Then in 2023, someone who turned privacy on owned this website. it's likely you, or 2024 because it changed hands again. So it gives me a nice trail on who was the previous owner. In a lot of the cases, it's the same person and they just turned privacy on from the previous hosting provider to the newer one. And now there's a leak of information, a Gmail address. In this case, it's just the previous owner. So information like this is pretty useful when you're investigating an anonymous person who's running a underground website, and stuff like this gets leaked somewhere at least.
Yeah,
So
the early justhacking.com ideas probably would have been around. I don't know if it's 2020 or 2021, but before even what would be now either 2024 or 2025. But I've tried to keep it to the private shields up,
yeah,
make sure no one could see. But well, yeah.
nice. And then I take the course into a different direction. So I think someone in the comment also asked, is this people search OSINT style, or is this more business intelligence? It's kind of both because I go on the business side of things a lot in this course. In the first one, I didn't because that was more of a broader approach. This one is more professional. So a lot of the tasks you'll get is business due diligence. So things like LLC lookups or even trademark. A lot of people don't look at trademarks, but if I look at the trademark section here and go under just hacking,
Uh-oh.
see if someone has registered a trademark for that. I don't see it. It's giving me random results here. If I put in quotes in here,
And if you're able to zoom a smidge, I think we might be able to get text a bit bigger, clear. Thanks.
right. So I don't see anyone who's registered just hacking, or let's put a space in there. No results found. Opportunity for you to trademark the name.
Mm.
And let's look at maybe your own name, John Hammond. Has it been trademarked? It has by one person. Well, it says it's a dead or canceled trademark.
Okay.
Let's look into it, and this is part of research. And
Yeah.
I can expand all. Let me zoom in just a little bit, and now there's some information about who owned the trademark. Zoo York Records owned it in the past, 1983. Wow, before you were born. So it's not you. In New York, here it is. John Hammond Records Inc. owns it, or owned it way in the past. And now you have a place to start with. You have an address, a name, certain other fields here, and a trademark itself. These are things people often miss. No one really looks at trademarks or copyrights and stuff like that. But now that I have a company name, John Hammond Records Inc., I can take that company name and put it in a website like Open Corporates and go deeper. So Open Corporates, I press enter here, and it's an open database of all the world's companies, not just the US. So one result came up here, which is in New York, and I can click on this and it shows me where it's registered, a little bit of more information around it, but not a lot more. Websites like this want you to log in, pay them a couple of bucks to get more information, but I don't pay for these things because I know where to find it. It says jurisdiction was New York, so let's look this up in the actual jurisdiction. Google search, New York LLC search, go under ny.gov, first link, and this will be their official way. Search by entity name and the actual entity. I just copy paste that in, John Hammond Records Inc., and search. And let's see, is it searching? Oh, let's check all these boxes. This should have been checked by default, but all right. All right, so I got one hit, one record here. And this is a government record. So I went from a website which is like Open Corporates, which is maintained privately. This is just a collection of everything they've scraped, to now a government record which is validated. So now I see who actually owns this. I get way more details. 1981 it was registered under George R. Burns Jr. In New York, and maybe some other information. And oftentimes you'll see further documents attached, like you see a lot more info. So someone can start digging in deeper into dissolution date, certificate of incorporation, start downloading those documents, and you'll see signatures, other signatories, shares of people who own it. So there's a lot you can get just from corporate filings and LLC information.
That
So
is
that,
kind of crazy. Sorry, I'm just
yeah,
thinking about like, yeah, I mean, business partners, like the shareholders and stakeholders, like you said, like it just even expands and grows more and more to look through. That's
yeah, and
crazy.
that's what companies would usually hire you for. So I often get tasks where I need to do due diligence on a company and look at their interests and say, who else are they connected to? You know, we're doing business with this guy under this LLC. What other interests do they have? Then we, pivot off of one LLC to the name, and then see who else. Like this person, does he own 5 other businesses, or is this the only business they own? And that's doing proper corporate due diligence on brokers essentially, and there's demand in that. And then there's a whole bunch of other things that kind of pop up every now and then, like during COVID there was something called the SBA Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP loans for short, and this was only there for like 2 years or something. So uh, this is one of those resources that is now set in stone forever. The government was basically giving out all these loans. You just had to apply for it, and they would just give you the money for free. They were forgivable loans, and all you have to have was an LLC in your name, and you had to tell them how many employees you had. So here you see a list of companies, company name, their place, and then how much loan they got. So $8 million, and they had 400 employees in the company, and that 800 million, or that $8 million, was a forgivable loan, so free money from the government. You just had to apply for it. So now you can actually look through and see who applied for what. So let's say I look at I don't know, Hammond, a company with that name in it. So Hammond Group Inc. in Hammond, Indiana, got a loan for $2 million, and they reported 142 individuals that worked for them, and I can
Well,
click through.
I did not have the foresight to ask the government for $2.5 million during COVID, but
And it says here details. It was paid in full or forgiven. Um,
wow,
and the lender was the BMO
BMO.
National Bank. And that's about all the information you get here. The rest is all public information, anyways, like
Yeah.
company stuff. But this is good info. Like, people may think, all right, big deal. They took a loan. This is all public info now. Well, I'll tell you where this can be a big deal. There were some stats I read online that about 80% of these loans that were given out were fraudulent. Like, people just lied, said, "Oh, we have 300 employees," and they got $1 million of loan when they didn't. They had 2 employees, maybe. No one was checking. The government wasn't doing their due diligence. This was, in my opinion, a fraud scheme, and all the fraudsters, leapt on it. There was quite a few people who just lied and got money, and now people are getting caught. People are flaunting their wealth online and stuff, and then people are checking websites like this, and they're like, "Oh, you got $1 million from the government," but so it's good to catch fraudsters, business fraud, and investigations in that area can lead to a lot of success just by looking at how much money they got and what they claimed. So this is a good starting point. Or be like me, think outside the box. In my previous employer, now I'm independent. I have my own company and stuff. But previously, when I worked for another company, I asked for a raise, and they're like, "Oh, we're going through some financial crisis. It's COVID. People are leaving and stuff. We're not making a lot of money." I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, hold on. You just got a loan of $2 million from the government. You got lots of money." And they looked at me. They're like, how do you know that? I'm like, well, the PPP loans are public information. I just looked your company up, and you got money. So don't give me that BS about not having enough money. And they're like, all right, how much raise do you want? End of conversation. So leverage. My point here is, this is a good company. Uh, I used information as leverage for my own purposes, and I got what I wanted in return. So information can be used for so many different things.
That's wild. Hey, just trying to do a little bit of a temperature check. We are at minute 55, which leaves us 5 minutes to the top of the hour. But I want to double check with you, Mishaal. Do you want to keep cruising? Do you have a hard stop at the top of the hour?
I don't.
Also, okay. I mean, if you're all right with more, I think everyone tuning in would love this. We can ask chat. Hey, people tuning in, what do you think? Keep it going. But I would love, if there's a little bit more.
Yeah, you'll have to stop me because once I get excited about OSINT, I don't stop.
Well, I see the finish line at the end of the tabs, at least.
Right. So yeah, two more things let me show you, and we
Cool.
can kind of break for questions.
Heck yeah.
And these things are like breaches. I talk a lot about breaches and how they're a game changer for OSINT. And in the first course, we looked through, have I been pwned and stuff like that to at least know where you've been breached. But every now and then, new websites pop up like this one, Keyscore. Um, it's a weird domain name, x.keyscore.re. But websites like this won't last forever. But as they come through, I often bookmark them, I save them, and I use them. So let's say I need to search for a username or password here, which is usually what I do in situations like this when I have a large breach in front of me. So let's put in a keyword, just hacking, and let's search for passwords. Did someone have a password like this? And I want to search through their entire database. All right, what is this CAPTCHA? Select images with animals doing the same thing as in the example. What, flying?
Parachute, I think, or something.
Parachute, okay. Dog with a parachute.
Live captcha solving.
Oof. All right.
I have seen Keyscore shared about frequently on Twitter. I think either the developer or the owner is certainly doing some cool skunk works here. So.
Yeah, and you'll see a lot of websites like this come and go. In the last 10 years, I've seen at least 100 of these pop up and then disappear. But this is one of them. And what I want to show is Stealer logs is what they ingest here. And it's very hard to publicly search Stealer logs. You have to download them and search through them. But hey, here's a resource. Like they're showing a Stealer log here for Roblox. And the login was I'm a noob, whatever, with the password of just hacking. Obviously, you're a noob with such an easy password. But this is what Stealer logs look like. A lot of people are like, we don't know what Stealer logs look like. How do we use them in our OSINT? Well, if you have a username or an email address, I usually reverse search passwords, like old passwords, or something else that's common, like a login name or a username. And this gives me pivot points from one place, let's say an email address, to a password, or from a password to other things. Like a computer name is often in one of these Stealer logs. So a lot of good open information, freely available, no login required. And these are the type of things I want people to be looking for when they're looking for breaches. Lastly, I'll show you a pretty weird technique. Remember last time I was here, I talked about license plates and VIN numbers and plate
Yes, that's what it
numbers.
was.
And a lot of these open records like O'Reilly Autos, you put in a license plate number there, they'll give you the car, essentially. So we're using or abusing their APIs. There's another thing I found is rent-a-car reservation numbers. So as an example, I'll pick Hertz reservation or receipt in a Google Dork, and I want to search sitex.com on Twitter, essentially. So are people posting their Hertz reservation numbers there? And they are. And there's something cool I can do with this. So I can look at people's receipts, Hertz rent-a-car receipts, and let's look at another one.
Oh no!
Like this one. And what they're not realizing is when you post your receipt, you have this thing called your rental record number on top. And let's click through this. It's taking a little time, but I've pre-populated the tab. This guy, Michael Murphy, posted his complaint. He has an invoice number, rental agreement number, and that's about it. And he's complaining about it's too good to be true. They charged him for supercharging or something, or shell recharge. It says here recharging is free, but they actually send him a bill for it. And then he's like, credit where it's due. Hertz UK finally got back to me and refunded the charging costs on my rental. Cool. But that's all the information he had. Let's say we were researching this. There's actually a portal where you can go on the hertz.com and look up your own receipts. And this is what the portal asks for: a reservation number, which we had. So let me copy that. I've copied it. Let me just paste it here. This was his reservation number, and his name was Murphy. Why? And I can search. And there's a caveat to this. It searches only 6 months of receipts, and this was within the last 6 months. And I found his receipt.
Wow.
It says in grade GBP in pounds. I can look at view EV charging costs. The thing he was complaining about, that he was overcharged. But look at the amount of information I get from this.
Yeah.
Like, I see
like where he was.
Right. Every place, every Shell gas station where he charged his car and he was charged a certain amount, I can map this out on Google Maps and see his entire route on where he was. This is dangerous.
That's insane.
And so he was charged $268, and I can go back and view the actual receipt. In the receipt, now this is the actual receipt he got, and like he didn't post this version of the receipt, but here, I mean, you see his address. It's a company address, so you may not have to redact this, but it's in Canada. It's in Great British pounds, everything else. And you see right here that $265 or pounds was charged, but then minus $265, they refunded him. So he's right. So we did, fact checking meaning, he said, they refunded his money, and the problem that was there, we fact checked that too. So OSINT is great for fact checking, but like, who would have thought stuff like this, receipts and all that? There's a portal for everything nowadays. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I want to give you one last shocking portal
Please.
example.
Yes. Excellent.
Remember you and I met at Denver, was it last month?
Yep, we were at Wild West Hacking Fest.
Yeah,
for
Wild
sure.
West Hacking Fest. So there's a thing I did at Denver. So remember when you log into your Wi-Fi, you get this portal?
Yep. I remember doing that just about all the time.
Yeah, shouldn't this portal only be available while you're in Denver?
Yes, it should, Mishaal.
I can get to it here. So it's like secure.guestinternet.com and then / whatever, blah, blah, blah. I saved this link and I can still try to get in here. Like, all I need is a last name, let's say Hammond, and then room number. I don't know what your room number was. But if I try to connect, it gives me, oops, error connecting. So I can brute force this and basically figure out what room number you were staying in. If I know the number of floors, let's say 10 floors, go through 10 digits here, and then maybe 40 rooms per floor, another 40 digits times 10, that's 400 iterations it'll take me to get a hit. And I can automate this with something like Burp Suite, which is it's doing over here. So in Burp Suite, I'm not going to go through Burp Suite, but if you have Burp Suite, it's in the course as well. This is what I kind of go through. I intercept the traffic here, and I basically say that room number that was there, go through all the room numbers one by one, and this is the result you get. See if I can actually zoom into this a little bit. So as I go through the results here, it basically goes through all the room numbers. It goes through all the payloads one by one. Let me zoom out just a little bit.
Did we find me?
No, so I actually looked at a sample thing here called Smith, I believe. Okay. So you can see the request here, Smith. And plus, I won't find you because you're no longer staying there. This portal is only for people who are currently there. So I thought I'd search for a random name like Smith and then go through all the room numbers, but apparently no Smith is staying there. And the way I find this is, you have these requests, and then I have a response. And the response always has like a failure message in it somewhere. It'll say, fail to retrieve portal info. And then it keeps trying the next room number, and then the next room number. It actually went through 400 of them. And then in the length field on the right, I see the packet length. If it's a failure, the packet length will be of a certain length, in this case 1174. But if it's a success, I'll see that one packet that's the odd one out, and I just click on that, and I see the response, and I kind of get the room number there and the results. So it's a quick and dirty way to figure out what room number someone is staying in at a certain hotel. Either you're at the hotel or you're doing surveillance. Let's say it's a person of interest. It's a celebrity, it's a politician, it's a CEO, and their life is under threat. Someone's trying to get to them. I can figure out what room number they're in because I know their last name, and then maybe lurk around in the hallway when the cleaning staff comes through. I can just walk in and say, "Hey, I'm just here to grab my laptop," and steal information that way. Physical security. So this is a huge physical security risk that hotels are not considering. Like this can easily be avoided by not having access to the Hilton Denver's hotel outside of that Wi-Fi range. But no one's thought of the risks here. To me, this is open information. I was just trying out and I got lucky, and now I know, the exact location of the person.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
pretty dangerous stuff.
Well, is anyone in chat happen to be staying at the Hilton Hotel in Denver and be willing to share your last name? Wow, that's crazy cool.
Yeah, OSINT is crazy. There's like, as you dive deeper, I just want to open up people's mind into thinking that there's so many ways you can do OSINT. It's not just username enumeration or websites or a bunch of, government portals. There's so many other ways that information is just sitting out there. You just need to know that it exists.
So you dig into this in Level Up OSINT, the second course in the saga and series for open source intelligence over here with us at Just Hacking Training. And I can't thank you enough. Does that cover Burp Suite, some of the magic that you pulled there?
It does. Yeah, it covers
what
Burp
else
Suite.
is in LUO, L-U-O, I guess is the acronym we've been loving so far.
Yeah, it covers Burp Suite, and there's a Linux machine in there which you can just activate, and it opens it up in a browser window, and Burp Suite is pre-installed. So you can follow along these techniques, and I give different examples than this one in the course, and a couple of other Linux tools. But yeah, it covers corporate due diligence, website-based OSINT, and application exploitation, I call it. So a lot of financial applications, think of what information you can get from Venmo profiles, from PayPal, from Zelle. There's a lot of, I call it, application exploitation techniques that I can just query that application. Let's say I'm about to send you money through Zelle because I have your phone number. Before the money gets sent, it'll give me a pop-up message. Are you sure you want to send money to John Hammond? I'm like, oh, cool. Yes, it is John Hammond. I didn't get the phone number wrong.
Wow.
And I only had the phone number. So it resolved the phone number to the name just for my confirmation. So I'm not falling for a scam or whatever. But that's information I didn't have to start off with. And they're validating it. And the reason I give so much importance to either government information or validated information like banks and stuff is because banks do KYC, which is know your customer. So they go through your passport or ID copy, and then they put in your name. Try to get a bank account not in your name or with a spelling mistake. You won't be able to. They validate everything, even your address. You can't put in a fake address. So if I'm getting information from PayPal or Venmo or something else that I'm about to send money and they validate certain other piece of information with it, like a name or from name to phone number, I know that's pretty relevant for my investigations because it went through a pretty rigorous process.
Now I know this is still like phase 2 of is it 3 of them in your mind? Is there more? I don't know. What's coming up in, what is it, next level OSINT? Even more advanced?
Right. So and it's funny, the next level OSINT is the first that I came up with. I've been teaching that course at Wild West Hacking Fest for a couple of years now. That's where I kind of started with all the hacker OSINT techniques, and that's the next one I'll be coming up with here. And that one has even more. If you thought this was a lot, that course goes to the next level essentially. So more hacking-based OSINT techniques, more digging deeper into code, into application exploitation. There's something new I do. I dig into APIs. A lot of these open APIs or APIs that exist, but they're not advertised to do a certain thing, but I use it to extract information. So I reveal all of that, and I don't hold anything back. And one thing I kind of advise to people is, this is not an ethics course, this is not a legal course, this is an OSINT course. What I'm teaching here in this course and the next one, and even in the basic um, introductory level OSINT course, use it at your own risk, because a lot of these things may be illegal, may be unethical in certain parts of the world. In one state, there's a different law. In another country, there's a completely different law. A lot of the things I did, like right click and view source code of a page, is considered illegal in some states. Google Missouri, F12 is not a crime. Google that phrase, F12 is not a crime, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So I'm not here to teach ethics course or what's right or what's wrong. I'm just here to show you what exists, what others are doing, what the bad guys are doing, what the good guys are doing, what law enforcement can and cannot do. Breach databases, some people can't own them, some can. So there's a lot of ifs and buts, but maybe we should, or someone should, do a whole ethics course around this.
I guess that'll be coming up next. But the big question, if I may, if I have for you then, is a lot of hype, a lot of excitement for that finale, the capstone, the triangle point at the end there to finish off the trio for next level OSINT. Do you know when we might be able to expect it? Everyone's getting
You're
excited.
putting me on the spot.
Oh, no, and I don't mean to. I don't mean to. But 2028. I don't.
In a few months, probably 2 months at most time frame. And when I teach it live, and I'll just mention it here because I'll say it in the course as well, there's a difference of doing it live and doing it video on demand, because the live courses have a lot of interaction. And at some point, we may do it live at Just Hacking as well, or like a hybrid approach, because people get to ask me questions. People get to see my way of doing stuff instead of just a technique. They get to cross question me and say, why this, why not that? And there's a lot of good conversations that come out of this. And OSINT is mostly about exploring the mind, exploring new ways of doing things. I don't know what others are thinking, and that's why that exploratory exercises and questions and warm-up exercises that I give people, those are invaluable. So when I do release the third course, it's going to be a little tricky on how to still have that value that the interaction misses. So it'll be a balanced approach in that, but people will still get the advanced techniques out of it, and there'll be lots of opportunities to take it live with me.
I see one question in the chat, if you're willing to entertain. Do you OSINT people or any folks that you meet just kind of as standard practice? Is that a security, I don't know, boundary for yourself?
That's a good question. So I have multiple workflows for OSINT in my mind. There's a 5-minute OSINT I do, and then there's a half an hour OSINT I do, and then there's a 10-hour version of it. So if I'm about to meet someone on short notice, let's say a meeting at a coffee shop or interview or whatever, or I just met a person at a conference, I'll do that 5-minute OSINT on them. Quickly look them up on LinkedIn and Google and some basic searches. That's my 5-minute version, just to feel at ease that, this person is legit. They say who they are, and I'm not falling for someone who's fake or trying to scam me or whatnot. I just like to know a little bit of information. If I have enough time, sure, I'll do a little bit more research if it's meaningful. Most of the times I won't do anything because it just takes time and it's not worth my time. I'll just meet the person. So unless someone's hired me to do it, I'm not going to spend hours on searching for someone for no reason. At this stage in my life, time is the most valuable asset.
No, I'm right there with you. But with that, goodness gracious, I'm so grateful for all the incredible stuff you've been helping put together here with Just Hacking Training. And thank you for doing the show and tell, making it real, making it something that folks can dig into and see to believe with their own eyes. It's crazy to me that, look, I know you've kind of been with us since the very start, if that's okay to say out loud. I don't know, not sentimental, not sappy stuff, but I'm just so appreciative. You sticking with us, trying it out, and I hope having some fun, been meaningful, been fulfilling. fulfilling and valuable for
Absolutely.
not just you, but hey, everyone tuning in. So if you are interested, please do give Mishaal some love and take a look at the Mishaal bundle to include not only the Level Up OSINT, everything that we got to focus on and shine the spotlight on here, but alongside the Geo OSINT hack along, the beginner course to start, and OPSEC for yourself for security practitioners. All that is at justhacking.com. So, thanks, everybody. I'm done doing the spiel. And Mishaal, this has been lovely to hang out with you. Until
Thank you,
next
John.
time, I think.
Yeah, my pleasure. Anytime.